This is NDTV, and you're watching Classics.
My guest today has already been the Prime Minister of Pakistan twice, and now as Benazir Bhutto gets set to make a dramatic return to her homeland after 8 years, many believe that she will occupy that seat, possibly for a historic third time. Either way, as Benazir Bhutto packs her bags and ends her exile to go home, it will be another distinctive chapter in Pakistan's turbulent and volatile history. Benazir Bhutto, thank you very much for speaking to NDTV. Let me ask you the obvious question. There is intense speculation in the subcontinent, especially in Pakistan, about whether you will actually be in Pakistan on the 18th as scheduled by the time this interview is on television stations across South Asia.
Of course I'm going to be in Pakistan on the 18th as scheduled. In my long years of exile, I had never previously given a date. And now that I have given a date, I will keep my commitment to the people of Pakistan, who are the source of my strength and also the source of my inspiration to go on.
But you've seen the sort of little covert pleas coming out of Pakistan right now. General Musharraf giving interviews saying it would be best if she returned a little later after all the court judgments are in place. Do you think he's panicking?
Well, I can't answer for General Musharraf, but certainly I have seen the statements from the President, the Prime Minister, the Chief Ministers, all trying to either persuade me not to come or intimidate me into not coming, and I'm not going to be intimidated. I've made my decision and I'm returning for better or for worse.
Why do you think it is that they want to postpone your return?
I think they want to postpone my return because they fear that the mass support the People's Party will generate will sweep aside the artificial structures that were put into place by the intelligence agencies.
So they're scared of you?
Well, perhaps they don't want to face the people in the court of the people. They have done their politics from the shoulders of the military. And my party's effort is to take the country towards democracy. And if we move towards democracy, then the anti-people forces are certainly going to lose. So maybe they are scared.
I notice you draw a distinction between the ruling party and General Pervez Musharraf. The sense, though, in Pakistan, if you just open the newspapers, as I'm sure you follow the news there, is Pervez Musharraf has struck some sort of compromise with you, but now he's scared of actually taking the genie out of the bottle. He's scared of what he may unleash when you go back.
See, the way I look at things, there are people in place, and we are all stakeholders for different reasons. What I've tried to do is put together the players who are already in the field to move the country towards democracy. And so General Musharraf and I have been holding negotiations for making this transition to democracy. I think General Musharraf has shown a degree of flexibility at critical moments of his political life. For example, after 9/11, Islamabad changed its policy on the Taliban. Or after Kargil, Islamabad changed its policy with India and began a composite dialogue. So I hope that this is a change of policy from dictatorship to democracy, although it's early days yet and too soon to predict.
You know what your critics are saying in Pakistan. Some of them were supporters of yours, never believed that you would do a deal, as they say, with Pervez Musharraf. Does that word bother you, do a deal with Musharraf?
It doesn't bother me because I know it's inaccurate.
Why is it inaccurate?
It's inaccurate because if I had wanted to do a deal with a military dictator, then General Musharraf took over in 1999. And at that time, I may tell you that I was also approached by some people as an interim prime minister, and I refused because I believe in democracy.
Yet look at the circumstances in which you are returning. There is this very contentious National Reconciliation Ordinance that the Supreme Court is still to pronounce a final judgment on. Here's how somebody could say it to you. Pervez Musharraf offered to take back the dozen corruption charges against you and your husband. You've got a good deal going. This is a good time for you to return because you won't be put behind bars. Isn't that a deal?
No, it's not a deal, because it begs the question that when this was on the table as way back as 2000, why didn't I take it then? I would have got my husband released without 8 years in prison. I wouldn't have had to be hauled up before a Swiss magistrate or have Interpol notices or have my name dragged in mud. I faced character assassination. My father was physically murdered. And through these long years of negotiations, many people did deals. Mr. Nawaz Sharif did a deal that got him to go to Saudi Arabia and not complete the sentence for treason and tax evasion.
But he broke that deal and tried to go back to Pakistan.
After 8 years. But he did do a deal. He escaped prison and weakened the democratic forces. No one from the court or the, intervened. Mr. Abdul Qadir Khan admitted that he sold nuclear secrets and he was pardoned and nobody intervened. And I am somebody who has proclaimed her innocent. And I'm still innocent and never been convicted of any crime. But the national ordinance has nothing to do with me.
Hasn't it been written up exactly for you?
No, it has not been written up exactly for me. It's been written up to take the country towards democracy. For example, as part of these negotiations, as I had said even to Indian reporters as early as the spring, that PPP could not work with a uniform presidency. So we now have the promise of General Musharraf before the Supreme Court of Pakistan that he would take off the uniform in the coming weeks when his term expires and before he takes oath again.
But if it wasn't just about you and if it was about this transition, as you say, from a military dictatorship to democracy, why do you think it didn't apply to Nawaz Sharif, who was at some point had become your compatriot in the struggle for democracy? He went back to Pakistan, he was put on a plane and sent back to Saudi Arabia. Do you think that was the right thing, or do you think Sharif should be led back into Pakistan as well?
Mr. Sharif should take responsibility for signing a deal with General Musharraf. That's what he did in 2000. Both of us were offered the same deal. I was offered that my husband would be freed from prison and all the charges against me would be dropped for 10 years if I didn't return. He was offered that he would be freed from prison with his family and all the charges against him would be dropped so long as he didn't come to Pakistan. He signed on. He left for a Saudi palace. But be that as it may, I made my choice. He made his choice. And you live with the consequences of the choices that
So
you
you're
make.
saying basically too bad. He asked for this.
I'm saying basically that people have to live up to responsibilities. And I'm saying I made a choice, I believe the right choice. And I believe he made the wrong choice.
Do you believe he should be allowed back in?
I don't want to interfere in a matter which is already before the courts. And I don't want to comment on a matter where a guarantor is a friendly state to Pakistan.
Your own return isn't going to be simple. There's first the matter of the fact that the National Reconciliation Ordinance is actually under judicial review at this point. Are you worried that this ordinance could get overturned by the Supreme Court?
No, I see the ordinance as a moral victory.
Yeah.
Because the cabinet has recognized that there was political victimization. The president has signed on that. The prime minister has signed on it. The law ministry has signed on it. And I have confidence that the court that did not intervene when the executive acted to give relief to a convicted person like Mr. Nawaz Sharif or a confessing guilty person like Mr. Abdul Qadir Khan is not going to intervene just because I happen to be from the smaller province of Sindh and I have been innocent. So I don't have a problem with it.
Are you concerned about the slew of criticism that has come from within Pakistan about this pact, for lack of a better word, that you've reached with Pervez Musharraf? Some papers that I was reading in Pakistan actually suggested that while this hasn't been publicized, part of the deal, as it's being called, is that you and your husband will be allowed to reclaim money stashed away in Swiss bank accounts. You spoke about facing a Swiss magistrate. How would you react to that charge?
I'd say it's rubbish. I say the fact.
Which part of it is rubbish?
All of it. I'd say, first of all, I don't have an account in Switzerland. And second, I'd say that people have bank accounts, they have properties. It's lawful to have bank accounts and it's lawful to have properties. And if there's nothing against a person is innocent. So I feel
But the figure being bandied about is 740 million pounds.
Let's say 740 trillion dollars. Okay, it doesn't matter whether it's 7 rupees or more. The fact of the matter is that is a person innocent or guilty? I will not be a financial beneficiary at all from the ordinance. I don't.
So are you denying that these accounts exist, or are you denying that the deal allows you to reclaim them?
I am saying that the deal is for, there is no deal. The deal is a wrong word. This is for a transition for democracy. And I'm saying that the frozen accounts in Geneva have nothing to do with me. And the records prove this. And I'm saying that the Surrey house has nothing to do with me. I'm not going to be a financial beneficiary. In fact, if you want to talk in financial terms, I'm in a financial loss because I paid from my own hard-earned money to defend my reputation so that I could lead my people. Otherwise, even if there were $1 trillion, the government was willing to give me those and to give me even more if I chose exile and the release of my husband for not coming back to Pakistan, which I declined to do because I learned when I saw my father in prison that the most important thing in life is to serve the people. And when you go to the grave, you don't take any property with you. So I put all that I ever owned. I put my life, which God has gifted to me. I put my liberty. I put my livelihood. I put my reputation. I put the welfare of my children, the welfare of my husband on the line, prepared to sacrifice it all for the welfare of my nation. And my people know that, and that's why they love me, and that's why they're going to be at Karachi airport to receive me. And I want you to contrast the press coverage of Mr. Nawaz Sharif's return, which was full of predictions about a great Khomeini welcome, and there was nobody at the airport. I don't take delight in that. And I want you to see the savageness with which I'm being treated for not getting a single rupee as a financial benefit as a cost of this ordinance, but getting for the people of Pakistan through my negotiations an end of a uniform presidency. A fairer
So you
vote
deny
count.
any financial benefit or relief through this deal?
Most certainly, if I wanted financial benefit, I would have done it in 2000. Nobody can answer that question, that if I was bothered about, they took away my father's house from me. They gave it to my sister-in-law. They took away my father's foundations from me. They took away, of course, what is this property? They took away my husband's liberty. They took away my father's life. They took away my brother's life. I don't care for these things. Because what is property? What is a house? It's nothing. It's the people who live in it who matter. And when you die and people write about you, they don't write that you had 1 or 2 cars. They don't write you had 1 or 2 fridges. They write about what you stood for. So my battle has never been for material things. It has been to serve the people that my father served. It's been to fulfill the dream of Quaid-e-Azam, the founder of Pakistan, for a federal, democratic and egalitarian Pakistan where the people are the masters. My heart aches for the people in my country who are jobless, who are today orphaned. They have no one to turn to.
I'm listening to you and you're obviously very emotional at this point. Is that emotion just being overwhelmed? Is it fear? Is it nervousness? Is it anxiety? Is it hope? Is it a mix of all of those that, you almost have tears in your eyes at this point?
No, it's none of those. It's my passion. It's my passion for the people of Pakistan. I remember Mrs. Indira Gandhi once said, I was in the Prime Minister's house when my father was Prime Minister of Pakistan, and Mrs. Indira once said that politics was a romance for her father, but a duty for her. And for a very long time, politics for me was a duty. For my father, it was a romance with the people.
And now?
So now I understand what my father felt. I understand what Nehru felt. Sometimes it is passion and it is emotion that drives you. So we don't give thought to rational considerations, which other people might do.
Are you scared of going back?
No,
Do you worry for your life?
no.
You do know there is a threat to your life. There have been public pronouncements from Taliban leaders talking about sending suicide bombers to the airport when you return to Karachi.
You see, ever since my overthrow in 1996, the people behind these militants have presided over a structure that has fueled anarchy and chaos and allowed the rise of extremism. These people are very worried and they are frightened at my return. So they're trying to threaten me. And I understand that the forces within who have presided over this rise will do anything, even conspire to murder me. But I believe that life and death are in God's hands. And I believe that nobody can be killed until their time is up. And therefore I go back with my faith in God, putting my faith in the people of my country.